Welcome to Gamers Platform. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Adam Wolf from Gamers Platform, and in this video, I'm just showing off a little bit of Final Fantasy 15 at 4K. That's right, we're looking at 4K resolution here. So obviously, this is best viewed at 4K if you want to see it in its finest form. Now, it took a little bit of time, but I actually figured out the perfect graphic settings for my setup, to run this game at a smooth 30 frames a second, not 60. Now, just to remind you guys, I am running a Ryzen 7 1700 CPU at 3.1 gigahertz base clock with a EVGA GTX 1060 6GB super clocked with 16 gigabytes of 2400 megahertz RAM. And, it is possible for me to play games at 4K. It is, but only at 30 FPS. And of course, this is, since I only have a 1080p monitor, I super sampled it to 4K. So, it still works either way, and I'm really happy with the results. Surprisingly, even more so, the settings that I'm using are actually pretty much on high. Almost high preset. The only things that are changed are the assets, or the high quality assets, is turned off. Lighting is on low, no anti-aliasing, motion blur is turned off, and filtering is on low. Having all those things turned off allowed me to run at a smoother 30 frames a second. You're obviously going to see in the next clip after this one that there is a lot of frame dropping when in combat because there's a lot of effects happening, and it would seem as though with this game, even at 1080p, if I try to play on a high preset, the frame rate can easily drop below 60 because of alpha-heavy effects, and as you saw in the first clip with the end boss there, you've got fire going everywhere, and that definitely drops the frame rate quite a bit, maybe about 5 to 6 frames. But it's nothing terrible. It's nothing unplayable, obviously. And during combat, it definitely doesn't get to that point. But when using abilities like having Gladio come in and do his Link ability with you, his tends to be the heavier of the three, just because there's lighting, and there's a lot of dust and motion being put through. So it does tend to be a little bit heavy on the frame rate side when using some of these abilities, but for the general general time in combat, the frame rate actually stays pretty solid at 30 FPS. So if you have a 4K TV, maybe a TV, but if you have a 4K TV or monitor, and you wanted to play this game at 4K, and you only have a 1060, you absolutely can at 30 frames a second. 60 I would not recommend, because even on the lowest graphic settings, this game is sitting pretty in the 40s, which is still pretty impressive at 4K. You put this on low graphics, you're up in the 40 range. But if you want decent detail and and a smoother experience, definitely go with a roughly high preset, but cap the frame rate at 30 FPS, which is the option that they give. They give you 3 options, 30, 60, and 120. So definitely don't be afraid to drop the frame rate, because, well, this game started off at 30 FPS, and it's still, even at 30 FPS on computer, it is just an amazing looking game. But if you're watching the frame rate counter closely, you'll see that there's a lot of drops here and there, depending on which abilities or effects are happening. And here we go with Gladio's Link ability, and you can see the frame rate drops a little bit here and there, roughly about, I think, as low as 24 FPS. But again, does not take too much away from the game and the combat just simply because it's automated. You're not in control until you have to hit the B button or the circle button, depending on which controller you're using. So, not too bad. I'm actually very pleased with how this turned out at 4K resolution. So, gotta give my 1060 some credit. It's a little monster. I'll tell you what, this thing can really impress me sometimes. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Really short video just to show you guys the game at 4K. It's gorgeous, and I can't wait till I am able to afford the full release later on and really get into playing this game and have it looking the best that it can look. But if you like this video, hit that like button, dislike it if you want to. If you hate, if you're done seeing Final Fantasy 15, and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check the links, especially the one with for Extra Life, trying to raise that $200. So if you can't give, don't worry. It's only $200. We'll get it. But if you can give, don't hesitate to donate. Until next time, guys, I'm Adam Wolf. This is Final Fantasy 15, and I will see you guys in the next one.